All SWAT elements to 801 Main Street. All SWAT elements, 801 Main Street.
What is going on, YouTube? I am Lamont at Large. Today we are in downtown Dallas, Texas, and I'm here to talk about the July 7th, 2016 murders that occurred right on the other side of this building from where I'm standing right now of 5 Dallas police officers. These murders were committed by one Texas-grown terrorist, Micah Xavier Johnson. I'm going to talk a little bit about what he did, what happened to him, and ultimately his demise, which was done by no other than RoboCop. Kind of, sort of. I'll explain the story, a little bit about his history, and we'll visit the locations of where all of this carnage took place. Follow me. Before we get into the story, let's talk briefly about the history of one 25-year-old at the time, Micah Xavier Johnson. Now, typically, stories like this, where a mass shooting occurs, where multiple people die, the characteristics of said shooter always read as a kind of a boilerplate list of characteristics. They're usually a loner. People said they're weird, kind of not surprised they could commit something like this, and altogether, they're just creepy. Now, one of those characteristics does fit Micah. He was a loner. He was always a loner as a kid, growing up, going to high school. People said that he would often play basketball by himself for hours on end, almost like it was his job, like he has a job playing in the NBA and you're practicing that much. And they said he would play basketball up to 8 hours a day by himself. Now, the other characteristics, I don't think people were going to call him creepy. I don't think people were going to call him weird. Just, you know, he liked to be by himself. That doesn't mean that you're weird. It might mean that you're odd. But many people said that they were absolutely shell-shocked, and they were just surprised that Micah was capable of committing such an atrocious act of terror. We don't know what a lot of these people are thinking in their minds when they're by themselves playing basketball for hours on end. So a little bit about the background of Micah. So out of high school, he had joined the Army Reserves. He had a job in the military. He did, I think, like carpentry, and he did masonry work. In 2013 or so, somewhere around there, he had been sent to Afghanistan for 9 months. I don't know if a lot of times people's military records are sealed, but he did end up leaving the reserves with an honorary discharge. However, he was probably, in hindsight, mistakenly given that honorable discharge. Now, apparently, Micah got into quite a bit of trouble while he was over in Afghanistan. So a fellow female soldier had went up to her commanding sergeants and told them that this guy, Micah Johnson, is sexually harassing me. And she had the receipts. She proceeds to show them messages from Facebook of Micah saying that he wanted her used underwear, depicting the graphic details of the sexual acts that he wanted to do to her. so forth and so on. So the higher ups, they see these messages, and well, you can't do that in the military. So they tap him on the shoulder and they said, hey, come with us. Now, normally when you do things like this, the military, honestly, they're gonna kind of, well, at least back then, they're gonna, I guess they would just kind of like write you up. They're not looking to throw you out of the military. However, I'm pretty sure the military today is quite different than it was 7-8 years ago. So I guess what they did with him was they, first of all, you got to move him away from the base with the girl that's claiming that he's harassing her, which he was. So they moved him to a different base, and I don't know for how long, but he was given a 24-hour escort for whatever time he was still there in Afghanistan. Basically, people look upon having a 24-hour escort is like somebody having to babysit you. So you are the butt of jokes and ridicule in the military when you are incapable of acting like an adult, and you have to have a babysitter around you 24 hours a day. So they packed up all of his things and moved him to a different base. And when they were rummaging through his stuff or searching or whatever, packing it up, they found a couple of weird things. So they find a grenade in his sleeping bag. Okay, that's kind of weird. Weapons, it's very not good to have weapons in your sleeping quarters in the military. It's very, very strict. He has a grenade. He has a 50 cal bullet, and he has some kind of a prescription medication that's not his. It belongs to another soldier. So they're looking at this, and again, normally they kind of just write you up, or maybe they demote you. But for some unknown reason, the military had recommended that he get, not necessarily a dishonorable discharge, but something other than honorable discharge, which to me, I'm gonna guess it's kind of like a dishonorable discharge, which is a very, very bad thing to have on your record if you've ever been in the military. However, looks like a simple mistake, a clerical error, prevented Micah from getting that other than honorable discharge from the military. So when he got out, or was kind of kicked out, whatever, he was given an honorable discharge, and he leaves Afghanistan. He comes back to the United States, comes back to Texas, and just proceeds to get a job. Micah moves back in with his family in Mesquite, and he does what any seemingly normal person does. He gets a job. He worked a series of odd jobs in the Dallas area. He had worked for Jimmy John's. He had worked for a trucking place. Like, I think they did mechanic work on semis. And at the time of the shooting, he worked for a care facility as an aide for developmentally and physically challenged adults. Now we're going to fast forward to July 7th, 2016. So on that night, it's pretty warm here in Dallas, and you have well over 1,000 people, maybe even 2,000 people. They are here, they're over there, and they're marching because Black Lives Matter had thrown some kind of a, don't want to call it a parade, maybe a protest over the recent shootings of 2 black men in the United States. You had one, Alton Sterling, who was shot and killed over in Baton Rouge, and the other man up in Minnesota, I think his name was Philando Castillo. So you had a pretty busy night out here. Lots of people. And it is pretty well supervised by the police. So you got a lot of police already in the area. This building right here is the El Centro College campus here in downtown Dallas. July 7th, 2016, the protest is winding down here in Dallas. People are starting to make their way back to wherever they live, and things are starting to die down. Now, Micah comes here just around 9 p.m. in his black SUV, and he puts on his emergency lights. Right there is where he parked. So by this time, this is like the general area where the parade or the protest was set to end. And you had about 4 or 6 Dallas police cars with multiple police officers just making sure that everything is okay and there's no fights or what have you. But little do they know that Micah came to the protest not to protest Black Lives Matter, but with his own little weird protest in his own weird brain. He's armed with a AK-74 Russian-made rifle and a Glock 19 pistol, and he is armed to the teeth. Immediately, he comes out, and I believe he's wearing some kind of ballistic vest or a bulletproof vest. He comes right here to this very intersection, pulls out his rifle, and just starts spraying all the cars. Not caring who's around, not caring who he is. He's probably trying to hit everybody, but he's really trying to hit white police officers. So at this intersection right here was Corporal Lorne Aarons, 48 years of age, Michael Kroll, 40 years of age, and Patricio Zamaripa, 32 years of age. In a matter of about 5 seconds, 3 Dallas police officers are shot dead, and I believe 2 or 3 others are wounded, as well as a civilian. Now, by the time these shots start starting to be fired, everyone starts screaming and running every which way they can to get away from the gunfire. As Micah is shooting and everybody is running for cover, trying to get away from all of the gunfire, the Dallas police officers, they don't know what's going on. It just happened all of a sudden. So the same place where I'm walking right now. So Micah is running right here, and he's running in between these columns that you can see behind me. He goes up to this door right here, this double glass door, and he just starts firing. He's running right where I'm at right now, goes to these doors and just is trying to shoot out the glass to make his way into the building, but he's unable to. But in the process, he wounds 2 officers that are employed by the college right here. By this time, 43-year-old Dart police officer Brent Thompson is probably running towards the gunfire to see what's happening. And as you can see on either the pictures or the video that I have on the screen, I mean, this guy Micah just makes his way with these weird moves that it looks like only people in the military know. So he's snaking right through these pillars, and he just comes up right behind Officer Thompson and just shoots him and kills him right then and there. I was trying to find if there is any remnants of any kind of bullet markings in any of these pillars right here. I think I had possibly seen one earlier. Now, I don't know if that is in fact a bullet mark or not, or if that is, I really can't tell. But if you look up over here, because you're probably having police officers from across the street over there shooting at Micah, and it looks like there is some kind of a patch job up right there where a bullet hit. So as constant gunfire is erupting, and Micah just makes his way over to the other side of this building, and through one of these doors right here, he is able to make his way into the building. By this time now, Micah is up on the second floor, and he is noticing that he has been hit. And he's not gravely injured, but he's definitely been hit because he's bleeding. And he's writing some weird letters on the wall as he's making his way through this building in his own blood. This guy by now has already killed 4 police officers, and he is making plans on hunkering down in this building, and he is in it to win it, so to speak. He's in for a war. Again, he has plenty of ammunition, and the police, they still don't know what's going on. They don't have a description. All they know is there's a crazed gunman that has shot multiple cops, and he's somewhere in this building, but they don't know where. There's ultimate pandemonium occurring right here, the epicenter, Lamar and Main Street. By now, the cavalry is out here. Every available unit, get down here at once. There is an active shooter. Multiple police officers have been shot and gravely wounded. 55-year-old Sergeant Michael Smith rolls up in his police cruiser right around in this area right here. Little does he know, somewhere on the second floor in one of these windows, Micah is aiming his Russian-made AK-74 right at him. He lets off a series of shots, killing Officer Smith virtually instantly, right next to his car. Maybe about 30 minutes after the first shot is fired, you have one 25-year-old Micah Xavier Johnson. He's held up somewhere in this building, but nobody knows exactly where he is. So finally, they figure out what area of the building he's in, and they start, I guess, talking to him to give himself up. Immediately, he tells the officers that he does not want to talk to any white police officers. He only wants to talk to black ones. Finally, when he's talking to a black officer, he implores him to turn around and start killing white police officers for some unknown reason. So the negotiating is going on for the better.
How you doing? How are you? I'm Officer Saavedra, okay? You're more than welcome to record whatever you want, sir. Just do it on public property. This lot here belongs to that building, and so they don't want anybody here with the camera on this lot. Now, you're more than welcome to utilize it. If you have a vehicle here, it's not a problem, okay? But just record from there all you want, I promise. You won't have a problem, because that is city property.
Oh, so that guy right there is the one that called on me?
I don't know who called on you. They just said, let me tell you.
No, I'm cool.
No,
I'm just.
I know you feel, and I respect everybody too. You know what?
Yeah.
But I just want everybody to know why. I just want to be that.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
I want that officer to be like, hey, get the fuck out of here. You know, without telling somebody why, because you know what? I want my family members treated the way I treat somebody. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
Is that fair?
Yeah, I'm just doing a story about this guy that
fair.
shot up the place. So I'm just good at doing it.
Have you been to YouTube yet?
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel. That's what I'm doing.
Okay. All right. So I just want to.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you very much.
No worries.
Thank you.
You see? Do you see what's going on? Lamont on the run. So we got to start all over again. Okay, so we're going to restart the video, but no, that cop was very cool. Very cool cop. I guess that security guard right there, yeah, he was doing his job. What do you want to do? Why does he look like a poor version of the most interesting man in the world, the Dos Equis guy? I have no idea. All right, guys, let's... All right. Yeah, this lady right here, she was going a little ham earlier. Oh, well, all right. That was a good exchange with the officer. Maybe about 30 minutes after the first shot is fired, you have one 25-year-old lunatic, Micah Xavier Johnson, held up somewhere in this building, but Dallas police, they don't know where he's at. So they call in for reinforcement, and Dallas SWAT arrives at the scene, and they make their way into this building. Again, they don't know where this guy is. Finally, they hear him screaming about something or another, and the police officers are trying to speak with him, but he immediately tells them, I don't want to talk to any white police officers, only someone black. So somebody black starts talking to him, starts trying to negotiate with him, and he implores his fellow brother, if you will, to turn around and start shooting these evil white cops. For the next 4 or 5 hours, there is a standoff in this building. Now, by this time, sometime in before, during, or after, whatever, they're firing through the walls because they figure out kind of where he's, held up in. And they did, I believe, wound him in that exchange of gunfire. But this guy is shooting back at the cops, and they can't make their way in there because they're going to get shot at. And this is possibly the first time this has ever been done. But I believe either the sergeant or whoever is in charge has this great idea of getting one of the Dallas police robots, the ones that disarm bombs, to strap a bomb to this robot and send it into where he's at so they can detonate it so they can finally be rid of this clown. So the robot starts making its way up the stairs to the second floor of this building, and one of the bomb experts on the SWAT team says, 3/4 of a pound of C4 should be enough. He describes to them exactly what it's going to do, what it's going to do to the room, how much smoke is going to be afterwards, what you're going to hear to prepare for it, all this, that, and the third. And finally, at about maybe a little bit before 1:30 in the morning, this robot with the bomb comes up to Micah, and I'm sure Micah probably thinks this robot is here to like talk, or to, that it has a camera that is supposed to see him. Little did he know that that robot had a little surprise for him, and the bomb detonated, and Micah was instantly killed. I'm pretty sure it was instant. And I believe that is the first time I've ever heard of somebody being killed via a RoboCop, if you will. This section of Westland is for fallen officers, firefighters. And this is the final resting place of Sergeant Michael Joseph Smith, one of the officers that was killed on that day. And right by him is Officer Lauren Aarons,